Thanks, Rita. Welcome to Wales Today. I'm Lucy Owen. The headlines. As many people look to have fireworks and bonfires in the coming days, a warning from one woman who suffered serious burns from a garden bonfire.
Just went up like a bomb, really. It just kind of went up in my face. It was only a little fire pit, but that's what happened.
With a year-on-year increase in emergency calls about burns around this time, Wales's top medical officer is urging us to take precautions. Also tonight. Drug use in prisons has reached endemic levels, according to the Justice Committee, with 6 deaths at Park Prison in Bridgend highlighted in a new report. A former sub-postmaster has welcomed recommendations of meaningful apologies and mental health support following the post office scandal. Hopes of a boost to visitor numbers and the creative industries in Aberystwyth Ceredigion, as it's named Wales's first UNESCO City of Literature.
It was a bit crazy, I guess, because we were jumping for joy after such a long time of preparing this. It's just amazing.
Well, I'll push a piece of putty down the pants and pass away.
And from becoming a wartime home to the biggest stars of the time, to a visit from the Beatles. We mark 90 years of BBC Bangor. Noswaith, good evening. For many, this is an exciting time of the year, but people are being urged to stay safe this weekend when heading out to bonfire night events. The warning comes as one woman from Llanelli has told us about the severe burns she suffered after a bonfire exploded in her face. Sian Morgan lost part of her ear and experienced burns across her upper body and face during the incident earlier this year. She says it's had a devastating impact on her life. And now Sian is warning others to stay away from fires and not to take risks. Ben Price reports.
After filling the garden waste bin during the first cut of the spring, Sian Morgan and her husband decided to burn what remained. But without warning, their small garden fire pit exploded, engulfing her in flames.
It just went up like a bomb, really. It just kind of went up in my face. It was only a little fire pit, but that's what happened. And then my husband got the hose pipe on me and we phoned the ambulance. And I don't really remember much after that, other than coming into hospital and waking up then in intensive care. Everything was so painful for so many months. I couldn't get in the shower. Everything hurt for a very long time. I couldn't go near the birthday cakes and the kids' birthdays this year just to blow the candles out. I just don't want to be anywhere near anything hot, any fires, sparks.
Sian sustained her injuries back in March, but as many people are likely to have bonfires and set off fireworks over the coming days, Wales's top medical advisor is urging the public to stay safe.
Unfortunately, every year we see an increase in the number of calls to 999 and NHS 111 as a result of burns, injuries and respiratory problems arising from exposure to smoke. So please take simple precautions.
Doctors at the Welsh Burns Centre at Morriston Hospital in Swansea say firework-related injuries are at their highest during the 2 weeks before and after bonfire night. And there are clear instructions for anyone who might sustain a burn injury.
Stop, drop and roll, that is the advice. It's the best way to put any fire out. We need to remove the clothing, remove the heat, jewellery, and then cool the burn. And by cooling, it's 20 minutes of cold running water. And then cover loosely with a cling film. Obviously, before that, call for help. Any significant size burn, anything bigger than about a 50p, you're going to need some advice.
This is one of the biggest and busiest plastic and burn centres in Europe, and it's responded to more than 60 firework-related injuries since 2019. And of course, this is a very busy time of year for all the emergency services. The fire service says it gets calls to a disproportionate number of deliberate fires during the Halloween and bonfire night period, which puts a huge strain on its resources.
We had several unofficial bonfires last year that caused us some serious concern with regards to public safety. Built too near properties, they were built near highways, they had hazardous items, on bonfires. So our operational crews will have to attend these unsafe bonfires to risk assess them and to see if any action, any intervention is required. But then that ties up resources at non-emergency situations.
To this day, Sian has no idea why her fire pit exploded. A devastating incident for both her and her family.
Tributes have been paid to a 14-year-old boy who died after a collision in Carmarthen on Wednesday. Police say Leon Arundel was seriously injured and died the next day in hospital. In tributes on social media, St Clair's AFC described him as a hard-working and fine young man and said all fixtures involving their teams would be postponed this weekend as a mark of respect. Another case of avian flu has been identified in Wales. A surveillance zone has been set up following the discovery near Milford Haven. On the weekend, a similar zone was set up in Denbighshire. The Welsh Government has advised bird keepers to remain vigilant and report suspect cases. It's been called the UK's most widespread miscarriage of justice. The Post Office Horizon scandal saw more than 900 sub-postmasters wrongly prosecuted. Tim Brentnall, who lives near Haverfordwest, was one of those innocent employees. Tim's been calling for more than just compensation, and now a new report has recommended personalised and meaningful apologies, as well as mental health support. Here's Lily Hewitson with more.
It was a job he loved, but Tim Brentnall became too anxious to run his post office when he was wrongly prosecuted in the Horizon scandal. Tim was convicted in 2010 of false accounting after a shortfall of £22,500 was wrongly recorded at his branch in Pembrokeshire.
When you're suspended, prosecuted, everybody in that community suddenly realises that you've gone from that position. And it doesn't matter if you say, I don't understand what's happened, I didn't do anything. A lot of people will think that you've been stealing, and they saw it as stealing pensions from old people.
It was the ITV drama Mr Bates versus the Post Office that showed the extent of the scandal and how it had torn lives apart, including Tim's. He's been calling for restorative justice, which is a system that brings together those affected with the companies involved. We caught up with Tim after the publication of the report this afternoon.
This report is positive. It will give people some more support. It's not something that we had this time last week, so every step forward is positive. But people, Post Office, government could be doing a lot more. It would be really nice to see them going above and beyond and trying to sort of restore people back to the people they were before all of this happened.
The charity running it held sessions with 145 sub-postmasters, hearing what they wanted, and this report lays out those next steps. An online helpline will be set up to let people share their views. It'll also be extended to hear from children and families affected, as well as group sessions with sub-postmasters and the main players in the scandal, including the Post Office and Fujitsu. Tim welcomes today's recommendations, but still feels it could go further to support people's mental health.
In an ideal world, what we would have liked to have seen was mental health therapy being made available for anybody that it was recommended to. Lots of us had to undergo psychiatric evaluation for our claims, and we had a small amount of therapy following that. But I know several people that were looking for that.
Today's report and its intentions have been welcomed, but for some whose lives were turned completely upside down by this scandal, it just doesn't go far enough.
The use and trade of illicit drugs across prisons in Wales and England has reached endemic levels, according to a new report by Westminster's Justice Committee. It refers to 6 deaths at Park Prison in Bridgend, which have been suspected or confirmed to be linked to synthetic opioid drugs. Well, our reporter Mallory Williams has been reading this report for us. Mallory, what are the details?
Well, the findings of this report, Lucy, have been described as sobering. The Justice Committee found that prisoners in England and Wales are exposed to what they describe as a menu of drugs, that the rapid increase in sophisticated drone technology to deliver drugs is a real issue, and that prison overcrowding is exacerbating this problem. And whilst the report looks at England as well, HMP Park Prison in Bridgend is named, highlighting that there have been 6 drug-related deaths, all suspected or confirmed to be linked to super-strength synthetic opioid drugs called nitazines. Now, it was just this week that Public Health Wales raised concerns around the increase of these opioids. They were linked to hundreds of deaths in Wales last year, and that suggests why it's highlighted as such a big concern in this report. It warns that without urgent reform to tackle the demand for drugs, the failing and unstable system, it says, will continue at an unacceptable human cost.
So what's been the response to the report then, Mallory?
Well, it's important to note that HMP Park said that there hasn't been a drug-related death since April 2024. A spokesperson said that their thoughts remain with those who've been impacted, especially where lives have been lost. They said they've invested significant resources in additional security, staffing, patrol dogs and drug detection equipment. And the Ministry of Justice pointed towards a £40 million investment this year to bolster security and to stop contraband entering prisons. But it said the report lays the extent of the crisis within the prison system. Lucy.
Mallory, thank you very much. Our reporter Mallory Williams there. You're watching Wales Today. Still to come in the programme, a Halloween house of horrors. How these spooktacular decorations have helped raise thousands of pounds for charity.
And we're ending the week on a mild note for Halloween. Mixed weather this weekend, though, autumnal with sunny spells and blustery showers.
Now there are celebrations in Ceredigion tonight, and especially in Aberystwyth, after recognition by the United Nations organisation which promotes culture. It's been named as Wales's first city of literature by UNESCO. And I know what you're thinking, Aberystwyth isn't a city, but the town and the wider county of Ceredigion have been chosen for the rich literary scene, university and national literary institutions, as well as its thriving bilingual cultural scene. Craig Duggan reports.
From Barcelona to Prague, on to Melbourne and Rio de Janeiro, there are UNESCO cities of literature across the world. Until today, there hasn't been one in Wales. There is now. And ours, Aberystwyth Ceredigion, has gone straight to the top of the alphabetical list. And while the seas were stormy in Cardigan Bay, there were smiles on many faces when the news broke that the town and its county had been designated a UNESCO City of Literature.
You're probably thinking, Aberystwyth Ceredigion isn't a city. How does that work? Well, that's true, but it qualified under UNESCO's rules because there's a university here.
And not only that, it's home to the National Library, has a rich literary tradition, and the HQ of the Books Council of Wales, whose chief was overjoyed.
Well, it was a bit crazy, I guess, you know, because we were jumping for joy after such a long time of preparing this. It's just amazing when it happens, you know, because it is a big deal. You know, this isn't just given. There is a process. For me, I suppose, as a German who's landed here 25 years ago, I just want Wales to get that recognition in the first place, and also to foster that sense of self that we, like, yes, we deserve this. This is good and this is special and it needs to be celebrated.
Years of work went into the bid, led by a partnership which included the National Library, universities, town and county councils. While there's no financial award with the designation, it's hoped it will bring benefits to the whole of Ceredigion.
You will have cultural tourism. People will be looking at cities of literature. You know, visit the National Library here in Aberystwyth, amazing building. We've got the castle in Cardigan, the first Eisteddfod was held there. We've got a Stradflir. We've got so many heritage buildings, but we've also got a lot happening now. We've got amazing independent bookshops all over the county.
Any idea of the value of the benefit that could come with this designation?
Right at the beginning, we did have some surveys done, and at that time, it was showing about 1.9 million directly into the revenue of the county as a whole. So hopefully.
The First Minister, Eluned Morgan, welcomed the news as rewarding the vibrancy of the literary scene in both Welsh and English. More than 50 places across the world were recognised today, among them one in Wales, home of the library and a centre of learning and literature of all kinds, now recognised on a global stage.
Craig Duggan reporting. On to football now. And after the disappointment of being knocked out of the Carabao Cup by Welsh rivals Cardiff earlier this week, Wrexham are back in action this evening. They're taking on Championship leaders Coventry City. Manager Phil Parkinson says his side can use the pain of crashing out of the Cup to their advantage. Here's George Zielinski.
It's fair to say Wrexham weren't at the races at the racecourse ground on Tuesday. Phil Parkinson's side failing to live up to the occasion of a first match against Cardiff in more than 20 years. But football moves fast, and the Wrexham boss knows a good result tonight will improve the mood.
We've all got to kind of look inwardly, which we do, but it was a difficult kind of fixture in terms of sandwiched in between these games. We've had Wednesday, Saturday, and obviously now Friday. But it was one, we set out to win. We didn't, but I want to make sure that the lads go into this game as confident as possible.
Confidence isn't something Coventry have struggled with in recent weeks. The table toppers are unbeaten this season and are chasing a club record 7th straight win. But their manager, Frank Lampard, is full of admiration for what Wrexham have achieved and is anticipating a real challenge.
It's obviously, we've got a big following, and to see what the owners have done, come at it from a different angle, come at it with a lot of passion. Everyone's bought into it. We're playing them, of course, Friday. We want to win the game, but I think as a story, I think it's fantastic. We should promote those stories of clubs, and they've come up and they've invested and they've tried to have a go in the Championship this year, and they're having a go.
Heading into the weekend, and Swansea also looking to move on from a Carabao Cup exit in the week, travel to Charlton, while Cardiff, as well as Newport, are back in Cup action, this time involved in the first round of the FA Cup.
Staying with football, and the FAW has applied to hold the 2029 Women's Champions League final in Cardiff. Bids have also been submitted by the Football Associations of England and Ireland. The Principality Stadium has previously hosted the men's final back in 2017 between Real Madrid and Juventus. It's down to UEFA to evaluate the proposals and decide which city will become the host. Now, this weekend marks a special moment in the history of broadcasting in Wales as the nation's oldest city marks 90 years playing host to the BBC. It all started in Bangor back in 1935, and there have been some momentous occasions, from becoming a wartime home to Britain's biggest stars to a spiritual trip there for the Beatles. George Hurd has been delving into what 90 decades of BBC Bangor has meant.
Disarmament has been practically abandoned, and we are now ourselves rushing into the frantic rivalry of rearming nations.
The Welsh wizard, the former Liberal Party Prime Minister David Lloyd George, with dire warnings over the rise of dictators in Europe and the threat of war. The date, November the 1st, 1935. And this was the very first broadcast from the then new BBC studio in Bangor. And when the Second World War did come, as Lloyd George predicted, BBC Bangor secured its place in broadcasting history.
So the story goes that a coded message was sent saying the camels are ready to leave Bristol Zoo. Whether that's true or not, back in February 1941, as the Blitz bombs fell on Britain, more than 400 BBC staff and the biggest stars of the time headed onto the trains and came here to the relative safety of North Wales.
It's that man again.
Well, I'll push a piece of putty down the pants and pass away. What a reception.
It's that man again. It was undoubtedly one of the most loved radio shows during the war, with the legendary Tommy Hanley at the helm.
Can I do you now, sir?
But what those listening didn't know was it was all coming from Bangor, broadcasting live from Penrhyn Hall, now home to the City Council. Of course, in 90 years, the war was only one part of the rich history captured by the BBC in Bangor. Fast forward to the late 60s, and it was this visit by George, Paul, Ringo and John that was making the headlines as they came to meet their then spiritual leader, Maharishi Yogi. It's not all about celebs and stars. BBC Bangor's been home to Welsh language shows, including Nos on Lawen. Today, the BBC Bangor studios reverberate to the sound of shows such as Welsh language comedian Tudur Owen and his team.
Mae 'na cyngerdd I ddathlu.
Yn Pontio?
Yn Pontio.
At various points in Wales's broadcasting history, Bangor has played a key role, and I think it's fair to say that the broadcasting landscape of Wales would be far poorer had not BBC Bangor opened 90 years ago, and it's still there today, providing a really important, essential service as part of the broadcasting ecology of Wales.
So that's 90 years gone, but what about the future for the BBC here in Bangor?
I think BBC Bangor's role is going to be critical for us in future. Part of the role and remit of the BBC in Wales is to reflect and connect with audiences and communities right across Wales. So BBC Bangor enables us to do that effectively right across the north.
So it seems certain that broadcasting here in Bangor is set to stay for many, many more years to come, focusing on the people and places that have been so special in the last 9 decades. Happy 90th birthday, BBC Bangor.
George Hurd there. Now, people in Bridgend have been wondering if a whopper of a mistake has led to a delay in a new Burger King restaurant opening. The premises on the A48 in the town are still not opened, even though the 2-storey building was completed early this year and plans were originally submitted 4 years ago. Matt Murray has been looking into the slow progress for the fast food chain.
It's a new building which has got people talking in Bridgend. For nearly a year, it's looked complete and ready to open its doors. But mystery has surrounded the new Burger King on the A48 in the town because it's still not open. Rumours have been flying around, fuelled by social media, but the delay has been down to this strip of land and the drive-through. This grass verge is a public highway, and those rights need to be extinguished before the flame-grilled burger restaurant opens. People picking up their lunch from neighbouring fast food chains have been baffled by the delay.
Bit of a head-scratcher. It beggars belief, really, that you managed to get that far down the line, that much money thrown at something, to then end up in that situation, doesn't it, really?
And to have a Burger King opposite the McDonald's, and as you can see the traffic issues that are here today, it's only going to exacerbate the situation.
And why we need another one, because there's so many
fast food outlets.
Yeah.
Plans were submitted to the council 4 years ago. It was initially refused because the authorities said there was lack of capacity for the volume of traffic it would create on this roundabout, as well as there being no pedestrian crossing. However, the chain won on appeal. Burger King haven't confirmed the reason for the slow opening of their new fast food restaurant, but Bridgend Council say a legal process to extinguish the highway rights on the strip of land needed for the drive-through lane has been agreed, and a consultation process will begin shortly. The company has confirmed it will finally open its doors at the end of November.
And finally, if you're out trick-or-treating this evening, you're probably going to see some very impressive houses decorated for Halloween. But there may not be many quite as impressive as this one in Cardiff. Danny Hargreaves from Llandaff is a special effects supervisor. But every year since COVID, for Halloween, he and his family put on a spooktacular display to raise money for the Dreams and Wishes charity, which supports seriously ill children.
I love Halloween, always have done, and I do it because I love doing things for charity. Each year gets bigger and better and harder and much more fun. This time we're sort of doing a bit of a Ghostbusters theme. I've got a 35-foot Marshmallow Man. I have the fire station. I've got Ecto One, I've got Slimer, and I've also got interactive special effects as well. So yeah, lots of smoke machines and all sorts of things going on behind me, trying to make all the kids jump. So yeah, lots of fun.
Wow, well done. Danny, looks amazing, and all for a good cause too. And if you're heading out trick-or-treating, well, you're going to want to know what the weather's like. How's it doing, Sue?
Lucy, thanks very much. Well, we are ending the week on a very mild note for Halloween, but we've got mixed weather this weekend. Fairly autumnal, sunny spells, but with some rain and blustery showers. Very windy earlier today as well. Gusts of over 50 miles per hour recorded at Aberdaron on the Llŷn Peninsula. And it's been a real sunshine and heavy showers day. Even hail and thunder mixed in those showers. So some dramatic scenes across Wales today, a vivid double rainbow in Llangollen in Denbighshire. So tonight then, it might be a mild Halloween, but also with the rain pushing in from the southwest, moving northeastwards, followed by blustery showers. And we keep those brisk but warmer southwesterly winds, overnight lows of 9 to 11 Celsius. Now, the heaviest rain will clear overnight, but with low pressure anchored to the northwest of the UK, a series of weather fronts bringing changeable weather into the weekend, an unsettled start to November. So the heaviest rain will clear eastwards tomorrow morning, leaving behind a mix of scattered showers, but also some brighter sunny spells, especially by the afternoon. It won't be as mild as today. Top temperatures between 11 Celsius in Powys and 13 in Wrexham and Cardiff, and with strong winds too, gusting over 30 miles per hour along exposed coasts. Now, this next weather front arrives later tomorrow, wet and windy at times overnight into Sunday. And then a brief ridge of high pressure on Sunday itself. And then this next system out in the Atlantic, this contains the remnants of Hurricane Melissa. But by the time it reaches us on Monday, it'll be another standard low pressure system. So we'll see heavier rain push in from the west overnight into Sunday, wet and windy at times before becoming drier overnight, and under the clearing skies turning chillier, lows of 6 to 9 Celsius with some mist and fog patches. Any early showers on Sunday should clear, and then it'll be the drier day of the weekend, turning cooler but brighter and blustery, highs of 10 to 13 Celsius. And then outbreaks of rain at times on Monday. Nothing exceptional, but what will be really noticeable, these strong southwesterly winds. Now, they contain humid air from ex-Hurricane Melissa, so it really will be relatively warm for early November. Top temperatures of 13 to 16 Celsius. So some typically autumnal weather this weekend. Wet and windy at times, drier on Sunday, and then milder and more unsettled into next week. Lucy.
Sue, thank you so much. Before we go, a reminder of our top story tonight. And as many people look to have fireworks and bonfires in the coming days, there's a warning from a woman who was seriously injured burning garden waste. Sian Morgan from Llanelli suffered severe burns to her body and has described it as devastating. Emergency services have urged people to stay safe.
It just went up like a bomb, really. It just kind of went up in my face. It was only a little fire pit, but that's what happened. And then my husband got the hose pipe on me and we phoned the ambulance. And I don't really remember much after that, other than coming into hospital and waking up in intensive care.
Yes, please do take care this weekend. Lily Hewitson will be back with the latest for you after the news at 10 from all of us. Good evening.